What is up, guys? Welcome back to Life on the Earth. Hope you're doing well. Happy Wednesday, everyone. Today last week there was an announcement that was made that some extremely incredible pieces are going to be auctioned from an extremely prominent collector, and that collector is Jean-Claude Biver. I don't even know if I want to describe him as a collector. He's actually much more than that. He's done so much for the watch world when it comes to just running brands, but also the watch collecting world. He's going to be auctioning off 4 extremely rare, extremely beautiful Patek Philippe's. What we're going to do is we're just going to show you the watches that he's going to be auctioning off. I'll put up some pictures and videos, hopefully, if I can find them. I don't have the watches with me. That's something that I've been criticized about a lot, but these are kind of ultra rare watches, so I don't really know how I would get my hands on them. So like I said, Jean-Claude Biver has been an extremely integral part of the watch industry within the last 30-40 years. That is everything from running companies like Audemars Piguet, Blancpain, Tag Heuer, all kinds of companies that he's been a part of. He's really moved them forward and really moved the watch industry forward. He's a marketing genius, literally probably one of the smartest guys when it comes to marketing. He's also been a very important part of the enthusiast market. I mean, just resurrecting Blancpain is a huge part of watch collecting in general. There are a lot of Blancpain collectors and people who like collecting classic watches like that. So he announced that 4 of his masterpiece Patek Philippe's, as he describes them, are going to be auctioned off at the Phillips Geneva Watch Auction number 11. That's going to be happening in May 2020. This is a very big announcement. These are some of the rarest Patek Philippe's that you can possibly get. I think there's going to be a lot of interest in these watches. If you haven't seen his Talking Watches, where he does show some of his collection, I would definitely need to go and check that out, because they are his collection is absolutely amazing. These are, like I said, extremely rare watches in incredible condition. In his Talking Watches, he discusses how he doesn't collect watches unless they are untouched in perfect condition. So you know what you're going to be getting from Jean-Claude Biver. He spoke about his collection. He said, he's at around 120, 130 watches, and these are basically, he has 15 watches that he would consider major references, and these 4 are part of that 15. So he's only going to have 11 left, which, I mean, some of us can't even have one of them. So yeah, but let's just dive into the watches that are going to be auctioned off. The first one is the reference 96HU World Time. This watch is from 1937, so this was actually one of the first World Times ever made by Patek Philippe. So the first World Time was the 1415, and that was actually produced in 1939. But before that, Patek Philippe prototyped their World Time watches and made 2 reference 96HUs in 1937. So this is one of the first World Time watches ever made by Patek Philippe. That is the first watch we're starting off with to discuss today. I mean, that's a major part of, 1, Patek Philippe's history, and 2, the history of a World Time watch, especially because the way in which they made this World Time is in an extremely classic watchmaking way, and that's kind of paved the way for a lot of the World Time watches that have come out of a lot of the Swiss companies. So this watch was purchased in 2011 at Christie's by Jean-Claude Biver. He purchased the watch for 411,000 Swiss francs. The only other version of the 96HU is actually sitting in the Patek Philippe Museum in Geneva. So one of 2, one is essentially owned by Patek Philippe. This is the only time that you can possibly get it. I hope that Patek Philippe doesn't actually bid on this watch. I hope that it goes to a collector, an enthusiast of Patek Philippe, and it isn't bought by an institution and then put in a museum. I hope that it goes to a collector. The estimated price for this watch is between 300 and 600,000 Swiss francs. We'll see what happens with this, but again, a huge part of Patek Philippe's history is going to be up for auction. So that's the first watch, the first of 4. The next watch is one of, I think by many people's standards, one of the best vintage watches you can possibly purchase. This is the reference 1518. This is a pink gold 1518 with a pink dial. It dates to 1948. It's one of the most significant watches when it comes to vintage watches. You can think about stainless steel 1518s that have broken records of extremely expensive perpetual calendar chronographs. In 1941, that was when this watch was launched. It was actually the first perpetual calendar chronograph that was launched. This was one of the first ever perpetual calendars launched in 1941. I know that there was there was another watch from another company that was launched around a little bit earlier, but I don't think it was exactly a perpetual calendar. There are 13 known examples of the 1518 in pink gold. This is obviously one of them. This was purchased at Christie's in May 2011. It sold for 1.143 million Swiss francs, so an extremely expensive watch. And it's estimated to go between 1.2 and 2.4 million Swiss francs. I think just because of the way in which the interest in the 1518 has grown since 2011. I mean, 2011 was really a very long, almost 10 years ago, and 10 years in the watch world is a significant amount of time. So estimates are a lot higher than it was purchased for. But a very significant one, and it's absolutely beautiful. I mean, like I said, Jean-Claude Biver only purchased extremely very rare references, but references in extremely good condition, and this is for sure in extremely good condition. So that's the second watch. The third watch is the reference 2499. This is the second series 2499 in yellow gold. So this was essentially the successor. Once the 1518, they stopped producing the 1518, the 2499 came out. There were 4 series of the 2499 that had certain differences within I believe the dial layout, but especially in the movement. There were, over the 4 series, there were a total of 349 watches that were produced. This version is in yellow gold, and the yellow gold versions of the second series are extremely rare. There are only 20 known examples, 20 examples of this watch that were produced in yellow gold, and this is one of 20 essentially. So another extremely rare watch. You can see very common themes between the 1518 and the 2499. That kind of style is what Jean-Claude Biver really loves too. So, this watch is estimated to go between 1 million and 2 million Swiss francs. So another not so inexpensive watch, but a very significant watch nonetheless. And then the last watch that he is going to be having up for auction, this is, I mean, it's crazy to think that you can get rarer than what we have discussed, but this is the reference 1579 in platinum. There are only 3 examples of the 1579 that have been produced in platinum, and this is one of them. It's an extremely rare reference, first of all, extremely rare case metal that was used to make this watch. This is the last of the 3 that were produced. I love the lugs of this watch. I think the lugs really set this watch apart from a lot of the other references from Patek Philippe. I really love how they almost feel like they're like claws on the edges of the case. It really makes the watch a little bit more distinct. This watch was sold in 2012 at Christie's for 1.539 million Swiss francs. So quite an expensive watch. I think this went a little bit higher than what most people were expecting it to go for. It's estimated to go between 800 and 1.6 million Swiss francs. So another very expensive watch from Jean-Claude Biver's collection, but 4 absolutely incredible references that really deserve their own auction just for each individual watch. The watch auction again is Phillips's watch auction in Geneva. It's going to be taking place in May 2020. So be sure if you have the ability to bid for one of these watches, do that. But also make sure you watch the auction and really see essentially history, because these watches, like I said, are extremely rare, extremely high quality examples of these references. And I mean, just think about the world time. It was a prototype before the watch before a world time from Patek Philippe was released. So the significance is really high. So I'll be watching the auction for sure. It's going to be a crazy one. I'm glad that Jean-Claude Biver is getting some some time where people can appreciate his collection. I think just having him, part of this watch auction is an important part of watch history, and I can't wait to see the results. It's going to be great. So if you are new to the channel and you didn't do it in the beginning of the video, be sure to smash the like button for us. It really does help us out. Also check out our other videos in our channel and subscribe to the channel. And with that said, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, and until next time.